Sean Sewell with Engearment.com here in the wonderful mountains of Colorado. In this video, I am going to show you the brand new HOKA Tecton X3 shoes. I've had these for a few weeks. I've used them for hiking around up here and for a recent 11-mile round trip, backpacking trip with about 3,000 feet of vert while I was testing out some backpacking gear with fellow media professionals. And they all were very surprised to see these shoes because these are really high-end specialized trail running shoes. And I put them to a pretty good test. In this review, I'll cover the fit, features, and functions on these HOKAs. Let's get into it. First, let me start by saying there are 4 animals in this video. Myself, and there's 3 bears right up there. Mama bear and 2 cubs. I was actually filming this at the base of that mountain when I noticed some unusual activity behind me. So I had to hightail it over to here. So that's pretty fun. I had not encountered black bears up here yet. They come up here all the time. So extra special day for us. All right, these shoes, what are these? These are very lightweight. I mean, they can't be more than 8 or 9 ounces. For men's, 11.5. And for sizing wise, I'm at 11.5 in almost all brands. I have a medium width foot. And like I've shared in dozens of shoe reviews, I've had foot surgeries for arthritis and gout. It's called hallux rigidus, which is a rigid bid toe. So it doesn't really move. So when I'm testing shoes, I have to be really particular, I should say, on the shoes. And especially the way I tested these. Oftentimes I'm just going for a few mile hike with a light backpack. Well, relatively light. I do carry camera gear like Sony a7R5 and microphones and heavier than normal, but still manageable. A few mile hikes with my dog Chloe, as you see in a lot of the videos. I was trying to find the right shoe for this backpacking trip that I just got back from. And you know, I've got a regular size, 60-liter backpack with all the backpacking stuff you'd have: tent, sleeping bag, food, water, camera gear, and these were really good choice. I was going through like a dozen different shoes to pick for that trip, and I chose these. The reason being is this sock. Where we were going to go, Jasper Lake, there's a lot of loose gravel, and I wanted to keep that out of my shoes as opposed to continuously taking shoes off and dumping rocks out. It did a fantastic job of that. There's a 5mm drop, so you know, I go through different kind of shoes. I'm often barefoot or in sandals or minimalist footwear, but then I will alternate and go into more cushioned shoes for certain applications. So I vary quite a bit. I wouldn't use these every day, that's for sure. I would use them for, if I was a runner, which I'm not, these would be great trail running shoes because you keep the mud and the debris out with that sock-like gaiter, and they're super lightweight. And they're actually more responsive, even though they are very cushioned, they're more towards neutral and more towards responsive than some other HOKAs we've tested, which I'm grateful for. I like to feel the ground underneath my feet to respond. These being a higher shoe, I did have some issue with rolling my ankle here and there, but that's mostly on my biomechanics and my feet not being fully functional like your feet might be. My toes don't bend, so I take a lot of shock through my ankle as opposed to my toes. That's just how my body works now. But never did I roll an ankle to the point of being injured, but it did, you know, it's different than a lower height shoe. Just something you get used to. And if you're running on something like you see right here, where it's more flat and not as rocky terrain. I mean, I was on rocky terrain for 11 miles. I mean, it's pretty challenging terrain for any kind of shoe to handle. And even with my, 35-pound, 40-pound load, these were really cushioned and really, really comfortable. You will also see why I chose these shoes right here. Vibram traction. They updated the lugs for this year, so that Vibram traction is really good grip. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't too grippy, like, you know, I have used these as my everyday shoe for 12 hours at a time while coaching, and they weren't loud. They weren't loud on the concrete, asphalt, rubberized floor. They were just like normal shoes, which is cool because sometimes when you get into lugs like that, it gets pretty noisy. So they were not noisy. And you know, another use I used these, you know, it's the crazy colors. My wife and I were at a 80s themed roller skating based birthday party this weekend, or last weekend, and I rocked these and they were quite the hit. I mean, look at the colors. It's pretty fun. You can see the rocker too, right? You can see how it's going to initiate, if you're a heel striker especially, it's going to initiate nice fluid mechanics. They're really comfortable. They're pricey. They're $275 too. But they're designed with, you know, specialist use in mind, although I'm going to be using these quite a bit, continuing to hike in them, because they have been a pleasure to wear, which is cool, and they did handle backpacking. Your mileage may vary. You know, a lot of you might want to go for a traditional backpacking boot, a little more substantial, stiffer lateral support. Probably a good thing for a lot of you out there. But if you're going fast and light, emphasis on fast and light, then I would check these out. What keeps them light too, I should notice or mention, is the carbon plate. See that carbon plate goes through right there, right there. Keeps it lightweight, gives you some arch support, and really good response. Like, again, I'm not a runner, so I can't speak to how they feel running, but on the backpacking trip, there were trail runners, and they were salivating when they saw these shoes. They're like, how in the world do you have those shoes, and what do you think of them? I'm like, well, you know, we do a lot with HOKA. We test them out all the time. A lot of the people on our team are actual runners, Clay and Devin especially. They have some Speed Goat 6s, I believe, coming in to review, so stay tuned for those. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on these shoes. You can see they're fairly well used. They treated me very well on that 11-mile backpacking trip. Probably not the intended use, but then again, I like to push things in weird directions just to see if they work. Lastly, they're very breathable. I didn't want to go with a Gore-Tex based shoe, even though we did have rain on our trip. I wanted to go breathable. So that you can see there's this kind of sock-like mesh right here that stretches, and of course the mesh right here. So the whole thing fits really, really good on your foot. It's just a nice, secure fit. There's no tongue to move around, no tongue to get stuck on the sides. It's a specialized tool, and it's freaking awesome. Yeah, so that's my opinion and how I used it. And if I zoom in, I can maybe find those bears for you too. A little bonus. My dog is, she I don't know what, she smelled them or saw them or sensed them, but she's in the truck hiding out. So I'm gonna tend to her. All right, hopefully this was helpful from a non-running perspective. My honest take on these HOKA Tecton 3 shoes. If it was, a thumbs up, always appreciated. Want to see more content on more HOKAs or more hiking, more camping gear? We got you covered. Consider subscribing to our Engearment YouTube channel, link right there. I'm Sean Sewell, the owner and director of Stoke. Until next time, take care.